Дякую. Слава Україні!
Glory to Ukraine.
Наші люди в Україні, у світі,
Our people in Ukraine and around the world never tire of saying glory to Ukraine.
Україна не втомлюється відповідати.
Ukraine never tires of responding, glory to the heroes.
Рідше звучати слова.
But on our land, the words Ukraine must win are heard less frequently.
Для декого стала незручним.
Unfortunately, for some, victory has become an uncomfortable word.
Не просто досягти.
In reality, we understand that achieving victory is not easy, although only victories bring glory to the country and allow the true memory of heroes to be preserved for centuries.
На століття. І дають
And they give the country the ability to live.
жити незалежно.
To live independently, to live freely, to live sovereignly on its land and under its own laws,
Законом. І самим обирати для себе
to choose its own future.
майбутнє. Для України
The future for Ukraine is undoubtedly to be a strong part of the global world, to be on equal footing with all leading countries, to be in the European Union and NATO,
бути в Євросоюзі та в НАТО.
to be there with full rights, to be there. This is fair for us.
Це справедливо для нас. Слава Україні!
Glory to Ukraine. Ukrainians deserve this.
Українці заслуговують на це. І саме в цьому
And this is precisely our goal, to win for Ukraine the right to life, to secure justice for Ukraine, to end this war with a reliable and honest peace for all of us.
війну надійним і чесним миром для всіх.
I thank everyone who brings this goal closer to every soldier and to all citizens of Ukraine.
Кожному воїну, всім громадянам України.
And a plan has been prepared for all of us Ukrainians, a victory plan. The victory plan for Ukraine is a plan to strengthen our state, to strengthen our positions so that we are strong enough to conclude this war, so that Ukraine stands with all its might.
І саме для
This
всіх
plan
нас
is possible to implement.
підготовлений план.
It depends on our partners, I emphasize, on our partners.
План посилення нашої держави, посилення наших
It
позицій.
certainly does not depend on Russia.
Достатньо міцними у завершенні війни, щоб
Everyone in the
Україна
world sees that Russia is not seeking an honest peace.
план можливо реалізувати. Це залежить від партнерів.
Putin has gone mad and absolutely wants only war,
Точно не залежить від Росії.
and he himself, personally, will not change.
Росія не шукає чесного миру. Путін
He is too much of the past, too yesterday.
абсолютно хоче тільки війни. І він
He is
сам
deaf to everyone else.
особисто він не зміниться. Він надто з
But
минулого.
together, we Ukrainians, together with our partners, must change the circumstances so that the war ends, regardless of what Putin wants.
Українці разом з нашими партнерами ми повинні
We all must
змінити
change the
обставини так,
circumstances
щоб
so that
війна
Russia is forced into
закінчилась.
peace.
Безвідносно до того,
First,
що
let's remember that almost 2 years ago, at the G20 summit in Indonesia, Ukraine proposed a peace formula.
була примушена до миру.
This is a strategy to end Russia's aggression against Ukraine and Ukrainians, and to restore justice for our entire Ukrainian nation, based on the goals and principles of the UN Charter.
Російської агресії проти України і українців.
In 2 years, nearly 100 countries from all parts of the world have supported the peace formula.
На основі цілей і принципів статуту ООН.
I am grateful to every such country.
Роки майже 100 країн з усіх частин
We held a successful inaugural peace summit, and we were able to prove that this negotiation format can succeed in achieving the main goal, ending the war.
саміт миру, і ми змогли довести, що цей
But Russia continues to evade honest diplomacy, throwing out ultimatums amidst bombs.
для головного, для завершення війни.
We must stop
Але
this.
Росія поки ухиляється від чесної дипломатії. та
No Russian ultimatum will make sense to any of us, will make sense to Ukraine.
Ми повинні це зупинити.
This is guaranteed by our soldiers, by all our people, by our unity.
Матиме сенсу для України. Це
The unity of Ukraine and the unity of our partners.
наші люди, наша єдність.
And all this is the foundation of our ability to achieve our just goal. The victory plan is the path to strengthening Ukraine. This is exactly the kind of strengthening Ukraine needs, not only to defend our positions, but also to build a bridge to the Second Peace Summit, which will put a just end to this war for Ukraine. Today, I want to publicly present this plan for the first time and appeal to you for unity and support for Ukraine.
Сьогодні я хочу публічно вперше представити цей план і звертаюсь до вас заради єдності і підтримки України.
Dear Ukrainian people, Mr. Speaker of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Commander-in-Chief, Mr. General of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, distinguished leaders of our respected intelligence services, the Security Service of Ukraine, esteemed government officials, heads of all Ukrainian state institutions, members of the Ukrainian Parliament, Ukrainian diplomats, representatives of nations, our partners who are present here today, esteemed ambassadors in Ukraine, if we begin to move forward with this idea, with this specific victory plan right now, it may be possible to end the war no later than next year. All of us who feel the pain of this war hear the names of places like Pokrovsk, Vovchansk, Kharkiv, Sumy, Nashorikiv, Zaporizhia, Kherson, Donetsk, Luhansk, Crimea, and they carry not only the fate of Ukraine, but also the fate of other countries. The Baltic countries, Finland, our neighboring countries, the Balkans, Central Asian countries, Georgia, Moldova, and countries from other regions of the world that seem far from us here in Ukraine, but are very close to our partners. This concerns Libya, Syria, and countries in the Sahel region as well. In the battles in which Ukrainians are currently fighting, right here in Ukraine, for their independence, the question is being decided whether the world will plunge into even more wars. Russia and its allies want more wars, and that is a fact. They are learning. The more time they have to learn how to bring only destruction, the more the world will eventually pay, unfortunately, for the right to live, for the right to peace. Right now, helping Ukraine for our partners means guaranteeing that a rules-based order will remain in the world. If Russia's war against Ukraine ends at the Peace Summit, and on the basis of international law, it will convince other potential aggressors not to start other wars. If Putin achieves his insane goals, geopolitical, military, ideological, economic, it will create an indelible impression on other potential aggressors, particularly in the Gulf region, the Indo-Pacific, and Africa, that aggressive wars might also be beneficial to them. Therefore, the fate of the coming decades is determined by the actions of our global coalition in defense of Ukraine and international law. It is absolutely legitimate for us to turn to our partners for support in this battle. For our partners, helping us to not only survive, but also win this war for our existence is a matter of their own self-interest. By doing so, partners will help themselves just as much. In the coalition of criminals alongside Putin, we now have North Korea under the Kim regime, which holds more than 20 million of its people in a brutal grip. Our intelligence has documented not only the transfer of weapons from North Korea to Russia, but also the transfer of people. These are workers for Russian factories, replacing the Russian citizens killed in the war, and special personnel for the Russian army. This is already a fact. In essence, this is now a second country involved in the war against Ukraine on the side of Russia. Everyone sees the help provided by the Iranian regime to Putin, as well as China's cooperation with Russia despite statements. Beijing refrains from taking truly serious actions to stop Putin, to stop the aggression, and the violations of the UN Charter by Russia. We must speak honestly, both Ukrainians and all our partners. If we do not settle things decisively now, Putin will manage to settle them decisively next year, in a way that forever disregards diplomacy. Russia must lose the war against Ukraine, and this is not about a freeze, and it is not about trading territories or the sovereignty of Ukraine. We must implement the victory plan to force Russia to come to the peace summit and be ready to end the war. The plan consists of 5 points and 3 secret annexes. The first point is geopolitical, the second and third are military, the fourth is economic, and the fifth is about security. The points are carefully timed, with the first focused on ending the war and the fifth ensuring security after the war. The first point is an invitation to NATO now. We are a democratic nation that has proven capable of defending Euro-Atlantic values and the way of life shared by other democratic nations. For decades, Russia exploited geopolitical uncertainty in Europe, particularly the fact that Ukraine was not a NATO member. This emboldened Russia to challenge our security. Now, offering Ukraine an invitation to NATO can be a crucial step towards peace. We understand that full NATO membership is a matter for the future, but Putin must see that his geopolitical calculations are failing. Russians must feel that their leader has lost on the global stage. I want to thank all our partners who support the idea that an invitation to NATO for Ukraine now, with full membership to follow, strengthens not only us but all of us together. An invitation is a powerful decision requiring nothing but resolve. Today, such an invitation symbolizes far more than just NATO membership. For us, resolve on NATO means the inevitability of Ukraine's integration into Europe and the unshakable commitment to democracy in Ukraine. That is why this is the first point of the victory plan, and a critical one. It demonstrates determination. An unconditional invitation now represents the clarity of how our partners truly see Ukraine's place in the security architecture. I ask all of you to work toward ensuring our partners recognize Ukraine as an equal in the European security architecture. The second point is defense.
Заради рішучості партнерів визнати Україну рівною іншим в європейській
This is the irreversible strengthening of Ukraine's defense against the aggressor.
оборона. Це незворотнє зміцнення української
It is realistic to defend our positions on the battlefield in Ukraine, while also ensuring that the war is brought back onto Russian territory.
в Україні і водночас обов'язково повертати війну.
Russians must feel what war is like, and despite Russian propaganda, they must begin to turn their anger towards the Kremlin.
Відчували, що таке війна. І попри російську пропаганду починали
We are not naive. Ukraine does not and will not believe that the majority of Russians will grasp the moral collapse of their state.
і не повірить, що більшість росіян усвідомить
However, they must feel the defeat of the Russian army, and this will signify the defeat of their war ideology.
чути падіння російської армії. І це буде програшем.
There is a clear list of weapons that can support the strength of our soldiers.
Перелік зброї, яка здатна підтримувати таку
The Kurdish operation has shown that Putin does not have enough strength to hold on when we apply real pressure, firm pressure.
побачили, що Путін не має достатньої сили, щоб триматись, коли ми тиснемо.
Therefore, the key to implementing this second point of the victory plan is the successful continuation of Ukrainian Special Operations Forces, SOF, operations and security operations in designated areas of enemy territory, preventing buffer zones on our land.
Щоб не допустити буферних зон на нашій землі.
Irreversibly strengthening the positions of the Ukrainian SOF and security forces through the destruction of Russia's offensive capabilities on occupied Ukrainian territory is essential.
Федерації на окупованій території України. Далі допомога
Partner assistance is crucial in equipping our reserve brigades for the armed forces of Ukraine and elevating Ukraine's air defense to a level sufficient to protect our cities and villages from Russian missiles and drones.
реально є достатнім для захисту наших міст і сіл від російських ракет.
Additionally, joint defensive operations with our European neighbors will be necessary to intercept Russian missiles and drones within the reach of our partners' air defense
В
shield.
межах доступу повітряного щита партнерів. А також
Additionally, we must expand operations using our Ukrainian missiles and drones, while investing in the expansion of their production in Ukraine.
їхнього виробництва в Україні. Зняття партнерами.
Our partners should lift restrictions on the use of long-range weapons against all territories of Ukraine occupied by Russia, as well as targets in Russia that are part of the enemy's military infrastructure.
І надання Україні
Ukraine needs access to long-range missiles, drones, and other strike capabilities, along with real-time satellite and intelligence data provided by our allies.
що отримуються іншими засобами розвідок.
For each element of the defense point in our victory plan, Ukraine provides our partners with clear justifications and details, showing how these measures will reduce Russia's ability to continue the war.
І наскільки це зменшить російську здатність
The
продовжувати
defense point includes a classified annex accessible only to those partners who have the necessary military potential to provide assistance.
які мають відповідний військовий потенціал допомоги.
The third point of the victory plan is titled deterrence, which also has a corresponding classified annex.
Це пункт під назвою стримування.
The United States, along with the leaders of the UK, France, Italy, and Germany, have already received this annex.
Америки, лідери Великобританії, Франції, Італії та Німеччини.
Some other nations are also receiving it, those who can give substance to this globally recognized concept of deterrence.
Добре відому світові концепцію стримування.
The Russian leadership acts aggressively only when it believes it will not face a proportionate destructive response.
Не отримує адекватної, руйнівної
When Russia knows there will be a response and understands what that response will be, they choose negotiations and stable coexistence, even with strategic opponents.
та стабільне співіснування навіть зі стратегічними.
We know these examples.
І ми знаємо ці приклади. Завдяки цьому
Therefore, through this deterrence point, Russia's aggression against Ukraine and all of Europe can be curbed.
Європи. Україна пропонує розмістити
Ukraine proposes deploying on its soil a comprehensive, non-nuclear strategic deterrence package that will be sufficient to protect Ukraine from any military threat posed by Russia.
з боку Росії, та який звузить максимально
This package would severely limit Russia's options, leaving them with either joining an honest diplomatic process to end the war justly or guaranteeing the destruction of their war machine as Ukraine employs the provided deterrence capabilities according to defined military objectives.
агресивну війну внаслідок застосування Україною НАТО
The deterrence package is essentially the choice for Russia, diplomacy, or the collapse of its military power. Peace through strength works on both sides of the Atlantic, and it will work just as effectively in this context.
що Росія або йде в дипломатію, або йде до втрати
This
її
point can be
можливої
supported through financial backing, and those details have also been shared within the framework of already established security agreements with our partners in specified levels of financial support.
працює однаково результативно. І цей пункт можна забезпечити.
The fourth point focuses on strategic economic potential.
Деталі також передані. Фінансування в рамках уже укладених
Ukraine sits on vast natural resources, including critical metals valued in the trillions of US dollars. These include uranium, titanium, lithium, graphite, and other strategically important resources.
критично важливі метали. Ціною в трильйоні
These resources play a central role in global competition, either strengthening Russia and its allies or Ukraine and the democratic world.
посилять глобальну конкуренцію або Росію та її
The deposits of critical resources in Ukraine, combined with the globally significant potential of our country in energy and food production, are among the key targets of the Russian Federation in this war.
одними з ключових загарбницьких цілей Російської
For
Федерації
Ukraine,
у цій війні.
these resources offer an opportunity for significant economic growth, reinforcing the European Union's economic and, in many ways, security autonomy.
заради економічної і багато в чому безпекової
For the US and our G7 partners, working with Ukraine provides a strong ally that can deliver profitable returns on investment.
працювати з Україною, союзницею, яка може забезпечити
The economic point of our strategy also has a classified annex that is shared only with select partners.
таємний додаток, який передається лише
Ukraine offers the US, along with certain other partners, including the European Union, which Ukraine will be a part of, and others around the world, the opportunity to enter into a special agreement on joint defense of our country.
укласти спеціальну угоду щодо спільного захисту наявних в Україні критичних
Clear critical resources in Ukraine offer opportunities for joint investment and the corresponding economic potential.
потенціалу. Це також мир завдяки силі.
This also leads to peace through strength, economic strength.
Органічно доповнить та посилить існуючу
Such an agreement will organically complement and strengthen the existing system of economic pressure on Russia, including all current sanctions against the Russian Federation, oil price caps, export restrictions to Russia, and other pressure measures.
повинні усвідомлювати, знати, бачити, що у цьому
Russia's allies around the world must understand, see, and know that this regime has no economic future.
п'ятий пункт розрахований на
The fifth point is focused on the post-war period.
після цієї війни Україна матиме один із найбільш досвідчених
After this war, Ukraine will have one of the most experienced and largest military contingents.
справжні люди, наші воїни, які володітимуть
These are real people, our warriors, who will have first-hand experience in modern warfare, successful use of Western weapons, and extensive collaboration with our partners, particularly NATO forces.
з нашими партнерами, з військовими НАТО. Цей український
This Ukrainian experience should be used to strengthen the defense of the entire alliance and guarantee security in Europe.
безпеку в Європі. Це достойна
It is a worthy mission for our heroes.
героїв. Ми передбачаємо
We anticipate, with the agreement of our partners, the replacement of some U.S. military contingents deployed in Europe with Ukrainian units.
які дислоковані в Європі, заміщення їх
After the war,
українськими підрозділами.
Ukrainians have proven they can be the force that Russian evil cannot overcome.
Після війни українці довели, що
I am
можуть
grateful to
бути
each partner for their
тією
support.
силою.
There have been many strong signals of approval for this idea from those with whom we have discussed this
Багато
post-war
сигналів,
prospect.
які підтримують це, дуже сильно подобається їм ця ідея.
I am thankful for the respect shown to Ukrainians and our ability to be invincible in an alliance with our partners.
Вдячний за повагу до українців.
Dear attendees, dear Ukrainian people and partners of Ukraine, those to whom this plan has already been presented have responded very practically and attentively.
Партнери України
Teams are now focused on the details to ensure effective support.
поставились до нього дуже практично, уважно.
The work has begun.
Зараз на деталях заради дієвої підтримки.
Tomorrow, I will present this victory plan at the European Council meeting publicly.
Європейської ради. Публічно.
But it was very important for me to present it to you as well.
Сьогодні всім
However, I want to be honest with you about the situation in certain non-public, multifaceted communications, including with Ukraine. We hear the word negotiations from some partners. The word justice is heard far less frequently. Ukraine, as I have emphasized repeatedly, is open to diplomacy, but to fair, strong positions.
щодо того, як сьогодні ситуація супроводжується.
That is why we have the peace formula, which guarantees negotiations without coercing Ukraine into accepting injustice.
Також. Ми чуємо від
Ukrainians deserve a just peace.
як перемовини. І значно рідше звучить слово
The victory plan paves the way to this.
Україна, я це підкреслював неодноразово.
The victory plan is the guarantee that the lunatics in the Kremlin will lose their ability to continue the war.
У нас є формула миру. І це гарантія перемовин без примусу України.
Therefore, the victory plan is the bridge to implementing the peace formula and realizing a summit, a path to honest diplomacy.
Прокладе шлях до цього. План
But
перемоги
on
це
this
гарантія,
path, Ukraine must remain strong, united, and aware that Russia cannot simply let us go.
І тому план перемоги є мостом до
Russia cannot let go, but it can and must lose Ukraine.
саміту, шляхом до чесної дипломатії. Але на цьому шляху
Russia must permanently lose control over Ukraine, and even the desire for such control.
об'єднаною та свідомою.
All these possibilities exist.
Не може відпустити нас. Не може відпустити.
At the same time, this guarantees peace for all of Europe.
Росія повинна
To achieve this, I ask all of you to work, serve Ukraine, and strive for unity in Ukraine and unity for Ukraine.
всі такі можливості. І водночас це гарантія спокою для всієї Європи. І щоб
Ukraine with partners, convincing partners to be the ones who work tirelessly.
служити Україні, працювати на єдність в Україні.
I thank each and everyone who works this way for Ukraine, who fights for Ukraine.
Переконувати партнерів бути тими, хто працює невтомно.
I thank everyone on whose shoulders Ukraine stands.
Працює саме так заради України, хто воює заради України.
Sometimes during war, society, as history has shown, may become polarized.
Час війни буває так, що
But thanks to respect for each other and gratitude, society holds together.
суспільство поляризується. Але саме завдяки повазі
Despite everything, any challenges, and despite polarization,
суспільство зберігається.
We are not fighting each other. We are fighting Russia.
Виклики попри поляризацію. Ми не воюємо.
They are our enemy.
Ми воюємо з Росією. Це наш ворог.
We fight them on the battlefield, in international relations, in the economy, in the information sphere, and in the hearts of people.
В людських серцях. Вони ворог.
They are the enemy.
Всередині України ворогів немає.
Inside Ukraine, there are no enemies. We have achieved and continue to achieve results in battles thanks to our unity. So please, let's not lose unity. Let's work together for Ukraine, for Ukraine's victory.
І досягаємо результатів у битвах.
If we lose unity in Ukraine, we will surely lose the support of the world.
Не втрачаємо єдність, працюємо разом.
Everyone is watching us.
Заради перемоги України, якщо втратимо єдність.
If we lose the support of the world, we will lose this war, just as happened a century ago.
Втратимо єдність в Європі. Ми точно втратимо.
The victory plan, among other things, allows all of us in Ukraine to unite even more around a common goal.
Ми програємо в цій війні, як було століття тому.
And that is why I am addressing you now.
Дозволяє нам усім в Україні об'єднатись ще більше
Let our collective work on the victory
навколо
plan
спільної
as soon as
мети.
possible turn
Я
into
звертаюсь
peace for
зараз
Ukraine.
до вас. Хай наша спільна робота.
I thank all of you. I thank those who stand with Ukraine, and I am proud of all our people.
Для України. Я дякую всім вам. Дякую
I
Богу.
deeply believe in Ukraine.
Пишаюся усіма нашими людьми. Дуже вірю в Україну. Слава
Glory
Україні!
to Ukraine.